Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. I finished another book on BorrowBox, which is the app connected to my local library, so I am supporting my local library whenever I read one of these books. Yay! This book was so good. It was Just My Luck by Adele Parks. The tagline on the front of the book is, "What if winning means losing everything?" Now, I've read Adele Parks books before, and she has a habit of twisting you and twisting you all the way through, and then doing another twist like in the final page. And she did it again. She did it again, people. So, yeah, I'll just get in with that blurb straight away. It's the stuff dreams are made of. A lottery win so big it changes everything. For 15 years, Lexi and Jake have played the same 6 numbers with their friends, the Pearsons and the Heathcotes. Over dinner parties, fish and chip suppers and summer barbecues, they've discussed the important stuff, the kids, marriages, jobs and houses, and they've laughed off their disappointment when they failed to win anything more than a tenner. But then, one Saturday night, the unthinkable happens. There's a rift in the group. Someone doesn't tell the truth. And soon after, 6 numbers come up which change everything forever. Lexi and Jake have a ticket worth £18 million, and their friends are determined to claim a share of it. This was a proper page turner. I constantly wanted to know what was going to happen next. You can't trust anybody in this book. And to be honest, you've mainly seen it from the point of view of Lexi and Jake and their daughter and their son. Those are the chapters that you're getting. And yeah, it's just ridiculous. It is just ridiculous. It's 384 pages. It's in contemporary fiction, crime and thriller, family sagas, general fiction, romance and contemporary. I don't know where to start. But yeah, so straight away you're very aware that there's been an argument. It starts off following the events of the night where the other couple appear to have pulled out of the syndicate. And you've got Lexi and Jake talking to each other. Lexi thinks she's completely fallen out with the other couples. And it's the night of the lottery. So when you realise that they've won, it's quite quick. That first chapter you get a lot of information, and so it definitely plays on that money is the root of all evil stereotype, but not in the way that you quite think. Because a lot of people say that, you know, when you win the money, it heightens the bad sides of your personality, if they're there. Lexi is very charitable. She works with people trying to get them out of hard times. She meets a guy called Toma who lost his daughter and his wife to carbon monoxide poisoning in some flats that weren't very well looked after. Lexi works with Toma to try and find out who was in charge of the building, who was ultimately responsible for the deaths of Toma's wife and child. She is determined to help him. So when they win the lottery, Lexi promises about 3 million to Toma to help him restart his life. Because at the beginning of the book, Toma is homeless. Everything has just gone south for him, and he's very angry at the people responsible, even though he doesn't know who that is. All he knows is that there is a landlord who was ultimately responsible for the shoddy heating in the flat and the building. And I'll admit, as I was reading the book, I was going to say, it's going to come out that somebody in this syndicate is responsible. Somebody in this group is going to end up being the landlord, I know it. And I was right. I was right about that. I just thought, you know, the way that we find out about Toma's storyline, he seems like the nicest guy. And comes a point actually when he becomes a bit of a target. even though it's settled quite quickly, mainly because Lexi is there going, I know this person, I've worked with him, I gave him the money, so he can't be responsible for everything. So you've got Lexi and Jake, you've got the Pearsons and the Heathcotes. When Lexi and Jake win the lottery, Jake wants to go out and spend it all. Lexi is just like, we need to keep quiet about this until we actually have the money, because she doesn't trust it. It's like, it's too much for her to handle. She's just like, I can imagine this being taken away from us, so I want to make sure this is actually a real thing before we tell anybody. Jake, on the other hand, is just a bit of an airhead, to be honest. Throughout the book, you kind of wonder why Lexi and Jake are still together, because Lexi is looking at Jake and thinking, this is not the man that I originally married. And so you see Lexi kind of fall out of love with him a bit, really, because you realise they're two completely different people. Lexi is at a point where she's just like, if anything, I just want to give it all away. I want to make sure this money goes to people who actually need it. And, whereas we can get the nice house and we can send the kids to a private school, we don't need this much money. Whereas Jake, he goes out, buys a Mercedes. He takes the kids on shopping trips. He's letting his daughter get multiple handbags that she can then give out to her friends at school. But yeah, there's a whole separate storyline happening with their daughter, Emily. And when you read Emily's chapters, it does feel like you're reading a teenager's diary, because she's talking about the relationship with her friends, how that fractures when they win the lottery, mainly because of the fracture between the parents' friendship as well. Emily gets beaten up by her friends, and very personal photos taken, which, to be honest, you don't see much about what happens to the photos afterwards, but you're very aware that Emily's had a very extreme invasion of privacy. And so you then see her trying to make new friends, and I'll admit, when it went down that story, I was just thinking, is she going to find true friends? She had just won the lottery, are they just going to be interested in her for the money? But it does seem like that the girls that she makes friends with after the lottery win, they do actually care about her. Because when there is a big party that they throw to kind of celebrate the win, it's kind of a way of like telling the world, that they've got the money and they're going to spend it. And they invite Emily and Logan, the sons, old school friends, and their new school friends. I say new school friends, that's before they've even started at the school. But they have a big party to kind of bring everybody together. And you see Emily's new friends really standing in her corner throughout the party. And that was the point when it cemented for me. Just like, Emily has found some good friends out of this, despite everything else that happened. So, with Logan, you see him as just a teenager who, it doesn't seem to affect him as much. He still has his core group of friends, even with everything that's thrown at them. He's the one that kind of sits back and goes, I don't care. All I want is to hang out with my friends. And that shows the split with the relationship between the father, Jake, and the kids. The more you find out about Jake, the more you hate him, to be honest. I really, really didn't like Jake as the more stuff came out. At first, he was like a kid in a Disney shop, and he just wanted to run around, he wanted to buy everything, he was buying multiple cars, he was buying and making huge decisions without informing his wife. And that was what really made me not like him. And there's more stuff that comes out which make you hate him even more, but that was the start of it, of making these huge decisions without including Lexi. And that was from things like getting his daughter out of school because she decided she didn't want to go anymore. There's a lot more to that story. But when Lexi realises that, she's just there going, honey, you need to talk to me. Well, to be fair, they never really had that conversation. But she's at a point when she was just like, she's observing everything. Lexi is observing her husband and wondering what on earth has gone wrong. But it's obvious the money has heightened Jake's childlike personality. childlike or childish? Childish, I'll go for. Childlike implies somebody who doesn't know any better. But with the win, Lexi doesn't really want to tell anybody. She doesn't want to take the publicity. And then there comes a point when it's mainly because Jake tells... It's when he goes to buy the card that he says, I won the lottery, show me, like, the most expensive car you can give me. And from that, the rumours start that somebody local has won the lottery. That's the point when Lexi really has to consider taking the publicity from it. And so she's like, right, we're going to do this as a family. You know, we're not going to do this at home. We're going to do this in, like, a public house, like a manor or something, somewhere that they won't know where we live. And that we can do this properly. And it is at that ceremony, you know, the handing over the cheque, where the Pearsons and the Heathcotes both turn up claiming their part, saying, we win a syndicate, we deserve this money as well. And that is when all hell breaks loose, basically, because that's when the fracture happens in the friendship properly, and it also affects the children, because the kids of the Heathcotes and the Pearsons are friends and have grown up with Emily and Logan. So it's a complete fracture in all the relationships that you've got going on there. You've got Emily's friendship with Megan, the relationship she had with her boyfriend. Yeah, it just goes completely wrong. And it's not helped when they start beating each other up in front of the press. And so obviously it becomes a big story. It becomes a bit of a target on their heads because obviously everybody wants a share of this money. It's not helped by the fact that Lexi's job is about helping underprivileged people. So, you know, you've got everybody showing up to her work saying, give me some of your money. And so eventually Lexi is sent home and they're just like, take a few months, wait for this all to calm down, and then we'll figure out if we can have you back at work. So, you know, there's a fracture in her job there. And then when somebody does come to the house, when Lexi is by herself and threatens her and tries to get money from her and steals her laptop, that is the point when she's like, I don't want to be here anymore, you know, I want us to move somewhere else. And at first, Jake is going, oh, it's not that bad, you know, it was a one-off, it won't happen again. And Lexi is going, no, I do not feel safe in this house. And then suddenly Jake has this huge turnaround and he goes and rents a mahoosive house, without talking to Lexi. And that's the point when I was just like, what on earth is going on with this guy? He's having such weird extremes of sometimes being a sympathetic guy, sometimes just being completely immature about everything. And then it comes out that he's having an affair with one of Lexi's friends that was in the syndicate. The more that comes out about that, you then realise that Lexi knew about it. Lexi knew about the affair, and she's known about it for a while. And how she handles that. Because she's at that point where she's just like, she thinks she loves Jake, but at the same time she can feel herself falling out of love with him. And it comes to the point when you're just thinking, is she preparing to leave him? Is she building up to something with everything that she has done? And you've got the whole thing hanging over them of what happened the night of the argument. The night that is claimed to be the night when the syndicate was split, because it's not until the very final chapter that you actually find out exactly what happened the night that it all went tits up. And then you also find out how Toma's storyline intertwines with everything. And so you find out who was responsible. You find out, obviously, exactly what happened the night that the argument happened, whether the syndicate was split or not. And I want to read it again now that I've read that final chapter, because as I said, it's one of those things where it puts everything on its head again once you know exactly what happened that night. And it makes you look at Lexi in a completely new light. You're trying to work out how much of it was planned, how much of it wasn't, and everything that happens with the daughter. Out of everybody, the people that you feel the most sorry for in all of this is Toma and the kids. Because when it comes to the end of the book, you realise that all the adults have been behaving like children. And that's offensive to children because children know better. At the end of the day, Lexi had good intentions. She did have good intentions. But some of what she does, unreliable. Completely unreliable, I'll just say that. I love this book so much. I love Adele Parks. She just has a way of just consistently twisting things until you start to question everything that you're reading. And you're just like, wait, where is this going to go? How is this person involved in that? How is that person involved in this? What about the kids? What about the parents? What about that comment that was made that didn't seem to have to do with anything, but actually it is? I finished this yesterday. Can you tell I'm still processing it? Just My Luck by Adele Parks. It's just such a good book, and it really does a bit of a twist on that whole winning the lottery, root of all evil, money thing. Yeah, so that was Just My Luck by Adele Parks, and yeah, just twisty, turny, everything. If you like a bit of a mystery, go for it. There is talks of teen pregnancy in this book. I just want to pop that out there, just in case that is a thing for anybody. It could be a trigger, I don't know, but I just want to let you know that there is that in there. And there is a storyline about kidnapping. Popping that one out there as well, because that could be a trigger for some people. I just want to pop that out there. I'm not going to tell you who it affects because it would be a spoiler for the book, but I will let you know that those things are in there, just as a warning to anybody who that might be a trigger for. So the next book I will be reading, which I've done the first chapter for, is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. And then I've also got The Testaments by Margaret Atwood to go, Mrs. England by Stacey Halls, Our Kind of Cruelty by Araminta Hall, and A Stranger in the House by Shari LaPena. A book that I've got reserved, which isn't available yet, is The Lucky Escape by Laura Jane Williams, and that's an audio book narrated by Carrie Hope Fletcher. So those are other books I'm going to read. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Thank you to the new subscribers. It's lovely to see other people joining the family. So thank you. I will see you next week for another video. Stay safe, everybody. I hope everybody is well. And if not, I send all my loves and cares to you. Bye.